The next question we got here is another kind of background question to introduce the origins. We're really getting into the lore of all of us here. From Mothra665, what was the one thing, novel, character, moment, etc., that really made you realize you really liked furry visual novels? Not what started you, but what made you really realize that you enjoyed what you were doing?
What I would say got me really into it was just kind of starting out when I was reading them on my own, and before I even started the channel, trying out my voices of, I think this character is like this, kind of like role playing the characters within the scenarios. It just, hearing those different voices and perspectives and whatnot just made me really think, oh, it's just beyond the reading. Because I don't know if I said this to you guys or somebody else, but when I was growing up, I hated reading. I was just not a good reader. It took me much longer to read, and just, my brain just could not comprehend how people would enjoy it. I'm like, it's just words on a page. How can you? I was just not focusing on the details. I'd be like, I'll move on to the next thing. But yeah, once I started seeing it in a sense with the audio, or not, it's some audio too, but yeah, seeing the visual connection with it too, and just being able to role play that with myself, and when I'm reading it, just really hit hard for me. That's when I was like, there's something to these characters. There's some real depth beyond that. And even if there are certain things that are not fully visualized in there, it helped me to, finally imagine those things with the help of that original visual reference or the background or whatnot. It just, having that thing to work off of really helps me, because I like to build off things, in my opinion. Having some sort of base like that really helped.
Nice. Marshmallow Bears, how about you?
What made me... This is a very personal answer. I'm gonna get gushy. But it's... When I read a visual novel before I stream it, I don't read it by myself. I read it with my lovely partner, Robin. And we make a date of it, and we do silly voices and read out the visual novel. And it's that spending time with her that makes me love reading these furry visual novels. I don't know, doing that first Adastra reading was it was great. It was just a lovely little moment together. Even now, the Adastra theme makes me think of waking up early to spend time with her, and the smell of my vanilla caramel tea. So yeah, that's why I like reading furry visual novels. It's a nice impromptu date night with my lovely partner.
Nice.
I think for me, slightly getting personal, it was during the time when I started getting the furry visual novels. When I discovered them was a time in my life where I was kind of dealing with a lot of issues. Was very depressive. My depression was at a extreme low. And at the time, then I discovered visual novels, which then eventually I discovered furry visual novels. And at that time, I've always been an avid reader growing up, but at the time, I don't know if anybody here has severe depression. But when you have depression, you don't want to do anything. I used to love reading, and even reading was like a hassle. I struggled to focus on reading at all. And visual novels helped me a lot with that, because already half of the work was done for me. And it made it a lot easier for me to visualize stuff. I'm normally a good visualizer, but like I said, being depressed, it was really hard to visualize anything happy. I could visualize gray clouds and other morbid, dark things that I won't discuss. But it was a real big issue for me, and I feel like with furry visual novels, it kind of helped me visualize something a little happier, especially the really well written ones. Like we mentioned, Echo, well, not Echo. Echo is later, and that's not a happy. That's not a happy visual novel at all. Yeah. But just an example, like Echo, how so visually, it's very visually descriptive, and it does very well at describing the characters and character traits and all that. And I think that helped me a lot with just being able to kind of get in a mind space that wasn't always depressed. So that was what it was for me. It was like it started out as an escape, and then eventually I realized that I generally really enjoyed furry visual novels, and then yeah, obviously I found your channel, and then cookies, and we went from there, and then I made my own.
Nice.
Really hard to pin down just one moment. It's much more of a gradual process for me. Because I first played Blackgate, then I tried out Echo, then I played Project Ego. So it's the first three I kind of went through, and it's just a gradual. I like this more and more. If I had to pin it down to maybe one moment when I've been playing these things, I'd say it's probably at the end of the first day in Echo. Well, we've just had this real slice of life, friends getting together in a motel room, watching the movie and all that kind of thing. And then we have this odd little dream sequence. And it's just something about that juxtaposition between this weird thing and what we've just had, which is all kind of relaxed and very slice of lifey. And then we go back to that kind of thing when we head off to Peyton there on the next day. And just something about that, just, okay, I like what you're doing with this thing. It's not just this, apparently this genre, we're changing things around a bit. And I love the way that was done there. Just from one to the other, very well handled. So if I had to put it down to one section, that would probably be it. But to be honest, it's been a very gradual process. I can't say, yeah, this was the moment, really. That's the closest I can get for you.
Nice. For me, it was a bit of a mix of things where I did the videos on Amorous, and then a couple of people recommended extracurricular activities. They recommended Repeat. They also recommended Echo, but I didn't play that until a bit later. So I started playing extracurricular activities at Repeat, and I started to enjoy them. I didn't take them too seriously, but I started to really get into Repeat, and it was really starting to get into realizing that I could get into the characters of these games, because playing Amorous, I didn't get into the characters. You weren't supposed to. That game was not meant for you to take the characters seriously. That wasn't the point. You were supposed to be attracted to the characters.
You're supposed to get into the character.
You were supposed to fit into the characters in a very specific spot. But and extracurricular activities is kind of set up to be similarly at the beginning. You pick a route, and that's where you go, very much at the beginning. And so, and it's also very stylized to, at least at the time, that had its old art style. And so I had never seen anything like that. So I was like, I didn't take it very seriously at the beginning. I was very judgmental about it at first, very unfairly so. Repeat was not like that. There was no route to pick at the beginning, and the art was more subdued, and it was more character based. And it was really the characters in Repeat that made me realize I could care about them and get more interested in them as I went. And it was slowly falling into caring about those characters. And there was also an unfortunate selfishness as well, because I was raised a child of neglect. I was not given a lot of attention. In summary, I was paid very little attention. I spent a lot of time alone. And then when I started doing YouTube, I started making videos before YouTube started. I started making videos 2003. YouTube started in 2005. And I started doing visual novel videos. I started Amorous late 2016. So that's 13 years. And Amorous was the first series where I got any kind of success. So that's 13 years of no one giving a fuck. All right. Even my family and friends I didn't have a lot of friends, and my family didn't watch my shit. Right. So all of a sudden, something was working. And so there was I'll admit, a bit of selfishness and a self-preservation in the idea that something was working. And that coincided with the idea that I was actually really enjoying what I was doing, in the fact that I was actually enjoying it to do it, as opposed to enjoying it to try to make it work. Because before that, I was trying to play games that I thought would make views work. But with repeat and extracurricular activities, I actually enjoyed them just by itself. Eventually, as I got to know the characters. And that's how I came to actually enjoy them. And that's the kind of things that I've tried to recapture whenever I've felt burnout, or whenever I've felt uneasy about whatever I've done in the past however many years it's been since then. So that's what made me like furry visual novels.
Very passionate answer.
Sorry if I got a little too much. Again, I know I go a little bit too long on my answers. I need to try to shorten it down.